Public speaking, tips and tricks. This video is not beard related at all, but so many of you over the years have requested this video from me because you watch the live streams. You watch these videos and you're like, this dude can talk. And literally, since early elementary, it was on my report card that I was a talker, that I talk too much. Hey, guess what, teachers? Joke's on you. I talk for a living now. Ha ha. Well, even more luckily, since you would like a kind of like teaching video on this, I did teach a program for 3 years pre-COVID at a university that's local to me that was all about public speaking and interview skills. I genuinely loved it. It was some of my favorite content I ever taught. I hope they bring it back one day. If they see this, I'm here. Maybe I'll send it to them. I loved it. It was really cool teaching college students about the history of public speaking and the biology of it and just my thoughts. So to begin, first off, my name is Dan C. Bearded. This channel is largely about beard content. If you're not interested in beards or learning about beards, this might not be for you. However, I do speak in every video. I do speak in every live stream, so maybe you get something out of it. If you're not subscribed and it sounds like you might want to, thank you for considering it. And if everybody could, regardless if you have a beard, regardless if you're going to subscribe, hit the thumbs up, aka the like button. If later on you decide, you know what, I don't like this guy, you can go and change it. But give me a chance right now. That would be greatly appreciated. So to start, this is just my take on public speaking. It is the most basic intro into it ever. If it goes well, maybe I'll make it a series and maybe I'll do part 2, 3, 4 down the road because I have a lot to say about this, but I'm trying to keep it digestible today. And there's probably thousands and thousands of public speaking tips and tricks videos out there. I'm not trying to go viral or break through and not even trying to say that they're right or they're wrong. This is just simply my take on it. I do want to start with kind of the why and what happens with public speaking, why so many people struggle with it. It really has to do with our body's fight or flight reaction to stressful situations. And it really goes back to wanting to feel safe, wanting to get back to your comfort zone. And I do want to ask you guys questions along the way, so feel free to kind of answer in the comments if you would ever like, but just know that I'm going to answer them myself in a few seconds, but it is cool to see if people understand. And you should ask yourself, when does my body feel it was at the absolute safest? When was my body secure? When was my body nourished? When was my body just feeling comforted? And the answer is when you were in your mother's womb. You were protected, you were nourished with the umbilical cord, you were covered, you felt close to another human. That is where your body feels the ultimate safety, and I can prove it to you. When you were a kid and you were in your room, maybe some of you now, hey, who am I to judge? You were in your room and you got really scared, specifically for something that may or may not have been there, like a monster. What was your instinct? Not even a learned behavior, and that's important. What was your instinct? What did you do? You got into bed, right? Okay. Where in bed? Under the covers? Okay. And then what was your body like? What was the body position like? The fetal position. You crawled up in a ball. You got your knees up to your chest. You wrapped those covers around that's the womb. You literally were trying to go back into your mother's belly. Literally trying to go back into your mother's belly because that's where you felt safe. That's where you felt secure. Pretty crazy when you think about being covered in a blanket in the fetal position. You're dang near mimicking that. That's wild. Think about other people when they get nervous. What do? Suck their thumb. Oh, feeding. Gotcha. Yeah. It's all related, and speaking is no different. We're going to talk about a couple things today. First is going to be body language, which relates to this. Then we're going to talk about my absolute favorite and one of my biggest pet peeves in the world, and that would be verbal pauses. And then we'll probably get into things like eye contact and kind of see where it goes from there. But body language. What are some things that people do when they're speaking and they're nervous? If they have a hoodie, they put their hands in the pocket. If they have pants, they put their hands in their pocket. If they have sleeves that are long, they'll kind of wrap their arms into it. It's that same concept of getting under the covers and feeling secure. What does their body language do? It turtles up. It goes down. They look at the ground. They bring their arms in. They kind of tuck. That's all trying to get back to the fetal position. That's all trying to get back into the womb. So what I would tell my students, I'm going to tell you guys, when you feel yourself starting to turtle and get nervous and go in, just remind yourself that's you wanting to go back into your mother's womb. And for me, that's just weird. That crosses the line. I don't want that. So hands out, let's go. The best body language when you're speaking is confidence. Chest out, shoulders back, speak here, right? We know arms or legs want to be shoulder width apart. Here's a key point. Do not lock your legs. Have you ever been at a wedding? Have you ever been at a speech and somebody they just unconscious, pass out? Well, there's a nerve in your legs, and when you lock your knees, you're pinching off that nerve, and you're not allowed to be able to get as many nutrients that you need to your brain, and it just clicks off. Have a nice little bend, be in a natural state when you're speaking, and here's a really good tip. If you're very nervous and you don't know what to do with your hands, which we'll talk about in a second, speaking with your hands, a very simple trick that can make all the difference in many different areas is take your fingers, interlock them behind your back. When you are back here, they're down at your side. And what you're able to do is you can be nervous as all heck back there. You can be squeezing your hand, but where it matters, where you're delivering the speech from the front, you have entirely calm presence. Your shoulders are back, so you look confident and you're able to contain yourself. That is a very simple way to control. Now, is that the very best? Is that the upper echelon of speaking? No. Being able to express yourself in multiple ways is the best form of speaking. We can use our words. We can use our inflection. We can use our facial expression. We can use our eyes, and we can use our body. Now, I am somebody that is very natural with my hands. I don't think about it. I don't plan it. Nothing when I speak really is planned. It's just been kind of observationally learned over the years and natural to me. But if you watch the best speakers, they will kind of emphasize different parts of speech and add to it with their motions of their hands and their arms. Some people do what I call the thumb over fist, and you can think of some different people, right? We often think of like presidential candidates and politicians because they're public speakers. And some of the very best speakers in history are ones that are in the political sphere. Fortunately, unfortunately, however you want to go, that goes all the way back to ancient Athens and the birth of democracy and having to win over the crowd. But doing something like this is very powerful on a point. When you want to emphasize something and you go, boom, you're bringing it. When I talked about moving something forward, I kind of did this just naturally. You're embedding that in their head. The motion goes with it. Using your hands can be natural. Now, you don't want to be a band or orchestra director up here. You don't want to be talking and guiding. You don't want to be on the runway of the airport and having people. Try to be controlled. Try to just let it be natural, but don't let it be the star of the show. But also don't be Ricky Bobby. I don't know what to do with my hands. Just simply let them emphasize where they want to. Videotape yourself. This is one of the absolute hardest things you can do as a public speaker is to tape yourself speaking and then watch it back. I do every video multiple times. I do every single live stream I watch back because I was a coach. I was a teacher. I watch it like it's game film. It's not fun to listen to yourself. It's not fun to look at yourself. Trust me, you're not alone. But by golly, will you learn a whole lot that you didn't realize you were doing. It's impossible to understand all of the aspects of communication when you're the one communicating. You have to go observe it. I challenge you, make a speech. Do something and just film yourself and then watch it. See how that goes. What is your body language like? And again, if you don't like any of that, lock behind your back, drop those shoulders back, and you're good to go. Next one I want to go over would be verbal pauses. Now, do you know what a verbal pause is? If not, you likely do them. Most people do. I take great pride in rarely doing them. When I do, I pinch myself, I hate it, I catch myself, but I'm very good at not doing them. A verbal pause is inserting a sound where you should be pausing. Where there should be silence, you have to put a noise in there because you feel uncomfortable with silence. And being comfortable with pausing, being comfortable with silence does take practice, and it does take a lot of getting used to because it's not natural. So what are verbal pauses? Here are the most common ones. Like, so, And anytime you are repeating a word over and over again just to fill dead air, that would be a verbal pause. Now, a couple of things that can help you get rid of those verbal pauses. Think about what your face has to look like to make the most common verbal pauses of and You're getting ready to say something. It usually happens when you're thinking, but not able to answer yet. Where are you going to go for lunch today? Like try to make an sound and make your face look intelligent. Don't worry, I'll wait. It just doesn't happen. And how intelligent do you sound when someone says, where are you going for lunch? Yeah, there's stigmas and stereotypes that come with that because it's not viewed as intelligent. Now, one of the biggest things that I had going for me growing up, I have two brilliant young sisters. Both of them went to the University of Michigan, Ann Arbor. One runs a hospital in Chicago. Another is an Ivy League lawyer. So I grew up with intelligent younger siblings. One thing that I had was communication. I realized quite early that no matter how intelligent you are, no matter if you have the greatest ideas in the world, if you cannot articulate them and communicate them in a digestible way, what good do they matter? The best basketball players of all time oftentimes do not make good coaches because they don't know how to articulate all the beautiful poetry that's going on in their minds. You got to be able to communicate these things. And if you're delivering a communication filled with and likes and so's, the way that information is going to be received and digested is not in the way it should be. People are not going to take that as serious. So what I recommend is catch yourself. I had a speech teacher in high school. Shout out to Miss Bliker. Amazing. When we would do verbal pauses, she had a buzzer and would go, "Burr." That's still embedded into me this day. When I speak, I hear that and I don't do those verbal pauses. If I do, I hate it so much. Another way to be able to learn them is having wait time. If you are asking a question or you are answering a question, you don't have to fill that dead air. I wanted to work at the school I graduated from. So when I started student teaching, I invited the principal on my very first day of student teaching. She said, hey, no one's ever done this. People don't want the principal to come view them at their beginning. I said, I do because in 6 months, I want you to see how much I've grown. And on that first day, I would give a question, and I got nervous when kids weren't answering. Hey, what is the capital of Michigan? And no one would answer, it's in the middle, it starts with an L, it's Lansing, right? That was me not embracing the silence. What she told me to do was count to 5 physically with your hand. Hey guys, what is the capital of Michigan? I would embrace that silence. I would marinate in the awkwardness of it. Even if the students were uncomfortable, I loved it. Some of our greatest speakers in the history of this world, one of their greatest tools was silence. The combo of building from soft to loud with pauses, whoo! If you want people to hang on your next word and want to listen to the next part of your story, use some pauses. Build your voice. Some of the worst humans in history, unfortunately, were some of the greatest speakers. Adolf Hitler was a master at speaking. If you watch his speeches, now drug-induced, fair, I got you, absolutely. He would start out, and they would do like these videos with symbolism of him coming through the clouds, like it was crazy. But he would start very soft. He'd have a lot of pauses. And then he'd build up faster and bigger until the crowd was just in a fury, in a ruckus, and he had them. Do not run away from pauses. Embrace the silence. It's one of the best things you can do. Those of you that watch my Commands Corner live stream every Monday at 9 p.m. Eastern, you know my silence. You know my pauses. You know I like to build the moment. It's good speaking. Next up, let's talk about eye contact. Eye contact is so important. You gotta have confidence, but you don't want to be a weirdo. If you're speaking to a crowd, scan the crowd, make occasional pit stops to lock in on somebody to connect, but don't stay too long. If you know someone in the crowd, you're naturally going to be drawn to making eye contact with them. It's one of the worst things you can do. Why? They know you. They're going to giggle. They're going to give you feedback that's not fair. They're going to give you feedback that's either hyperinflated or it's too rude and too low or just uncomfortable. Find people that you don't know and connect with them. The feedback you get in a speech gives me goosebumps. Right now I'm talking to a camera, right? I'm trying to make this seem like it's a conversation and back and forth because I know how you guys would take this and I can interpret that and use it. But when you're doing a speech and someone's like, or people are dozing, you can read them. Find the people in the crowd that are giving those little head nods. Find the people in the crowd that get the big eyes. Find the people in the crowd that are doing the yes. That is huge for your confidence and for your stage presence. Do not avoid it. I've heard people say, look just above them. How awkward is this? I don't know if it picks it up on camera, but I hate when people do that. Don't look down. Don't imagine that they're naked. You can imagine where your eye contact, hey, watch it. Don't do that. Just simply scan, make occasional pit stops, but never stay for too long. That's my best advice on eye contact. And the last thing I'm going to touch on, and if you guys want more parts, I could go on for days. No exaggeration. Please let me know if you would like them in the future. If not, no worries. I want to try it. It's at the end of summer. Why not? You know, I enjoy talking about this stuff. The last one I want to talk about is the way you say things matter. The inflection of your voice matters. I just flipped my inflection on those. If you notice the first one, I said, the way you say things matters. I tailed off and went lower. That is indicating something that is serious, maybe somber, but you have to listen to really draw it out. The second way I said it, I built up. The way you say things matters. That's going to give a firmness, sometimes an anger, sometimes a passion to it. It's the same exact set of words, but the way I'm saying it is telling everything. The motions with my body that I don't even realize I'm doing will really add to that inflection. So words matter, but so does everything else if you're trying to communicate properly. So does everything else. When people say, well, I said that, come on now. You're discounting so many other factors. You know what you're doing when you give someone attitude and you give someone tone. The same thing as in a speech. What are you trying to induce? Laughter, happiness, sadness, seriousness? The inflection is what matters. And above all of these things, knowing what you're talking about is the most important aspect of public speaking. I don't have notes. I don't have a paper. There's not a teleprompter. I don't have bullet points. I just know this stuff. I live and breathe beards on this channel. I absolutely have a passion about public speaking and speaking. I can just go. What that allows me to do is not get stuck on context, process, think, which can cause problems like verbal pauses. I can focus on the inflection because I know what I'm talking about. Whoo! Fight or flight, safety, inflection, verbal pauses, body language. There's so much to this, you guys. I hope you picked up on something. I hope you reinforced others. I hope you have questions down in the comments on things you're wondering. And are there other aspects of public speaking? You're like, Dan, awesome. What about this? What about that? That would be very beneficial for me if I make another segment where I can cover exactly what you guys want. And who knows, maybe it's not for YouTube. Maybe I pop over to my Instagram and make a series on it because it's a little bit more open on my Instagram. I don't know where this video is going to go. I don't know how you guys are going to take it, but I'm excited to see and kind of go from there. Thank you guys for watching today. Please reach out if you need anything. My name is Dan C. Bearded. Please stay bearded and stay positive.